Hey guys, we're going to dive back in and do a little bit of Q&A. And so we're very appreciative and very grateful. We've already gotten some really positive comments from the first couple of videos that we've posted, and already getting more questions about where we answer more questions.
Yeah.
And so very humbled by that.
Yeah.
And we definitely don't know everything. We're not experts on everything. But we will do our best to tell you what we know, and we'll be honest about what we don't know, and we can all kind of learn. And it's one of the things about life is that it's a journey, and it's a process. So we wanted to dive into a couple of questions. We got 3 questions that were at least in the same vein. Again, just for context, the session we were teaching was about love, marriage, and sex. And so these are questions from wives that are struggling with their husbands being interested in them sexually. And so one question is stated, what if he isn't interested in me? There's just no interest. And I guess that could be beyond just sex. It could be relationally. It could be with our hobbies. It could be...
Absolutely.
So the other question is a little bit more specific. What if my husband has lost all interest in sex? As in, like, for years hasn't had an interest. There's nothing physically wrong or wrong in a physical health way. The other one is kind of, what if I can't initiate enough to convince my husband that I want him, and he thinks it's just pity, which in parentheses she puts is a lie, and that he's convinced himself that she really doesn't want to have sex. She's saying I do, but he's convinced himself that I don't, and it's just mental, and he just kind of talks himself out of it. So there's really 3 different variations there, and I'm gonna kind of default to you.
You are?
Yeah, for this first one.
Okay.
And we'll just kind of talk about what we think and see where we go.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, again, I'm processing. They're the same but different. So to put those 3 together are pretty big. My first thought is jumping into that's tough, because I think my initial thought is, and this can sound so, I don't know, cliche or so simple that it's not even like something we hear all the time, but our only choice is to focus on us. Like in those situations, like, I get it, you're heartbroken, it's rejection, it's your spat. Like, I'm sure no one here thought this is what my marriage is going to be like. Yeah. So, my first thought would be focus inward on yourself. And what I mean is,
well, you can't fix the other person.
Can't fix it.
I think that's the challenge in marriage, is there are things that are legitimately the other person's fault.
Sure.
In the relationship, but there's very little you can do to control or fix that. Does that make sense? And the only thing you can really do is look, what have I done, if anything, to contribute to that?
Yes.
And work on those things. If
anything. Well, and what I mean by inwardly is just really, because you're at such a vulnerable state there.
Totally.
Yes, what you said as far as ask if I did anything, and if so, Lord, show me. Show me it so I can self-correct and let you do a good work in me. But also, just the fact, like, that's like cutting your legs out from under you. So let him build you up. Let him.
As far as like God builds you up.
Yes. Let him really build that back up in you. That even if you did something wrong, I guess this is where, even if I did screw up, did something wrong, if I have repented and I have gone to you and asked for forgiveness, and there's still a wedge there, still going to feel like crap. And I'm still going to feel that rejection and that hurt and everything, and the desire to want more. So in that point, I need just an internal overhaul of who God says I am, who I really am. What does that look like?
You got to get to a place of self-confidence here that's really strong, because there's no one probably that can hurt you more than your spouse.
Sure.
And cut that self-esteem. And so when you feel that rejection from the very person you're giving your life to, and all of these things are kind of motivated to serve them, to get their attention, and they're not reciprocating that.
Yeah.
Because I think one thing I would say is, if your husband isn't interested, if he's not showing interest, if he's not responding, there may be some, for lack of a better word, trial and error here to find what does interest.
Well, that's, yes. I just, when I see this and as I'm processing, I'm like, there's underlying
there's
issues
deeper
there.
things.
There's deeper things than just something
There's probably
has
deeper
happened.
things in him
that
don't even have anything to do with you.
Yes. Yes.
There's things that he's dealing with,
yes.
whether it's sin, whether it's his own self-esteem, his own self-pity or insecurity, his fear of being rejected by you.
Yeah.
We build these things, I think, up in our relationship, like maybe we do take too much ownership of, okay, what am I doing? And really the issue is in the other person.
You're going to be on for lack of a better term, a scavenger hunt for a while. Really trying to figure out, I would say there's some underlying issues. So I'd definitely go back to just that. Let's have some hard conversations.
Yeah.
Let's create awareness first. Is he even, do you guys feel the same way? Do you both feel like there's an issue around the subject?
Yep.
Do you both feel like that he has lost interest? For the one, do you feel like he's lost interest in me? For the second one that we read, do you feel like does he have the awareness that he's lost interest in sex as well? And then for the third one, kind of the same thing. Is that awareness there? Once you both can establish awareness, it's not just awareness that there's an issue, but get specific on, do you have the same awareness? Do you see that there's an issue around this? And create that both, because then now you're on the same plane.
Yeah.
Now we can build from there. Now we can figure out, okay, what caused that? Was it a moment in time? Was it a long span of time? Was it before we were together? Was it after we were together? Was it a combination of all of it?
Right.
So there's lots of puzzle pieces there.
Yeah.
So.
One simple thing, because we're not just one part. We are three part. We're body, we're soul, and we're spirit. And so really there's things in each of those areas of our life that could be contributing to this issue.
Absolutely.
Physically, men reach that kind of, our drive is peaked in our late teens, early 20s. So if this couple is getting into their late 30s, mid 30s, early 40s, late 40s, anytime past that mid 30s range, his drive is probably decreasing because testosterone is decreasing in our bodies. So it could be something as simple as just hormones, testosterone, things in him are decreasing and it's changing. So it could be something that simple that it really hasn't not anything to do with he's not interested in you. It's just his body is changing almost in reverse. Like when we go into puberty, it's like all of those hormones are like just raging.
I think you're still in puberty. I mean, I'm glad you're in puberty.
Yeah, you're supposed to say that. But that's something that could be
absolutely,
or there could be, like we said, he could be dealing with insecurity. He could be dealing. There's just a number of things, and I think you hit on it. It's finding the time and place to have the hard conversation.
Absolutely. And
sit down. And you're really good at this and can speak to this because we've had struggles. We've learned to have the hard conversation, but it was tough in the beginning because when you would push, I would feel attacked and I would get defensive and kind of get guarded and just kind of shut the conversation down. Even coach them as wives, and then I'll coach husbands on maybe how to be receptive to the conversation. How should they approach their husband? Think time and place. Think how.
Yeah.
And of course, every husband's different.
Yeah.
We're not robots that are all programmed the same, but
sure. And we spoke to this a little bit that day, but I would definitely say time and place. And what I mean by that is don't pick a high stressed time. And I know that can sound weird because depending on what season of life you may be in a stressful season of life. But what I mean is don't pick at a ball game. Don't pick when you have a house full of guests. Don't pick maybe when the kids are up if you have kids.
When he gets home from work.
When he gets right home from work, not a great time.
Yeah. Find his sweet spot.
Basically, you have to remove what's best for you in those moments. Like I had to come to the place that to move forward for a season, I couldn't what's best for me is morning. What's best for him was not morning. So I had that realization that to have conversations, I couldn't approach you at 6 a.m. when I'm ready to talk at 6 a.m.
Right, that's true.
So I had to realize, okay, yes, that's best for me, but in this moment, that awareness just wasn't there this way. Right. So I'm going to just put that to the side and figure out what's best for him. And that's what I mean by that. And just picking those times. Also, you have to really guard your heart against offense. Guard your heart against what he's not saying. Get super clear. Just go into it with we're in this together. We're fighting for the same goal. Right. We're fighting on the same team. We're on the same team trying to resolve the problem. And you go into it with that mentality. It's amazing how instantly your whole thing shifts. Yeah. Because you're trying to win. And you want to win together. So that's a couple things. Watch your tone, body language, especially in those early, I say especially, in those early, you're just starting this new journey of how to conversate with each other. No, just early in.
Oh, early in just having the conversation.
Having hard conversations.
Yeah.
Because.
So it's even a conversation to have the conversation.
Oh,
almost
absolutely.
Like, hey, I want to get to this place to where we can have these hard conversations. But I don't want you to feel attacked. I don't want to feel like I've got expectations or needs that aren't being met that I can't communicate. So, I mean, communication is one of the bigger issues in marriage.
Sure.
Because you would come and say things. Sure. I would not hear what you said. I would hear through a filter, feel attacked, get defensive, get angry.
So you did hear? Because a lot of times I never heard you say that. Well, so we all heard him say, he hears.
I'm talking about the hard conversations, not all the other things you're talking about. Okay. You said those in your head, not.
No. I'm going to thump you in the head.
Anyway.
But yes, have a conversation about the conversations. And it just has to start there. One, because you have to think, I'm assuming this is the same, we've had possibly days of conversations in our head and in our heart about these subjects. Yeah,
so it's just
maybe weeks, maybe months. So when you first sat down with him, you're catching him up. He's like, what the heck just happened?
What's going on? I didn't even realize there was a problem.
So then he's going to go to a threat mentality. And depending how he reacts, there's some shut down and some get volatile. Not talking if it's right or wrong. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
So don't forget that you've had lots of conversations in your head and in your heart, and you're just bringing him in on the beginning. So it's like day one where you were is where he's going to come into the conversation. So.
For husbands, I would just say memorize the scripture, slow to speak, slow to anger, quick to listen. And that's really difficult because your mind quickly processes what's wrong with me, what did I screw up, here we go again. I didn't even know there was a problem.
It's time for her period.
Yeah.
Don't ever say that. Don't say it.
Don't say that.
You can never whisper quiet, and you just kind of did it.
I kind of did.
Kind of proud in that aspect, but not in the other. Sorry, go on, husbands.
Just try to guard from being defensive. And again, just remember your husbands, you guys are on the same team. She's got a need. She's trying to express a need or a frustration. Slow to speak. That doesn't mean don't speak.
Right.
But just be measured. Don't be defensive. Don't be reactive.
And that's for wives too.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure.
Slow to anger. She's not attacking you. She's trying to help improve your marriage. And really great marriages are when two people are willing to work on it. So, we're prayerful for these couples that they'll come to a place to where you guys can have some of those conversations. You can get to some of the root causes of why there's not as much intentionality or intensity in your sexual relationship. And I would just go back to sex doesn't produce love. Great love, strong love, unconditional love, unfailing love, love that endures through every circumstance. I mean, just even 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient. So wives, be patient with your husbands. Don't keep a record of their wrongs, even though that's really, and this is two ways here. This is for husbands as well. Be kind, be patient, endure through things, because that's just marriage. And if you'll take 1 Corinthians 13 and that love chapter and really apply it to your marriage, out of that, because love sacrifices, love will give of itself for the other person. And so when you've got two people loving each other, it will produce a really healthy relationship that's got great sex. And so we're praying for these ladies and ladies like them that have felt rejected, that are struggling. Maybe their bodies are changing and they're going through all of these different things of what have I done, what am I not. And what you started is grow closer in your relationship with God.
Absolutely.
And allow Him to love you and create that confidence in you, so that your self-worth isn't completely wrapped up in your husband's approval or pursuit of you, even though that's really great to have and really needed. We're wired that way as husbands and wives, to need the pursuit, the affection, the physical touch of our spouse. And when that's not there, it can leave a hole. Even the intimate conversations. And when that's not there, that can leave a big hole in your heart.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that God can fill that and create that health. And
absolutely. I would say too, keep in mind it's a long game. We always often hear the term, it's a marathon.
Sure.
It is a marathon. And the reason I bring that up is because sometimes it will feel like we've taken 2 or 3 steps forward and then 4 back.
Yeah.
But it's still progress and it's still improvement. It's still headed in that direction. So don't throw it all out and think, oh, I forget it, I'm done.
Yeah.
Because there is that tendency to do that. But it's a long game. This is, you're trying to create a foundation and create things that sustain for 50, 60 years, not 5, 10 years. So with that, the rules look different and it's just different. So it's slow, steady progress. So
and I would just advise every married couple to be willing to go see somebody.
Absolutely.
Don't just rely on people on YouTube answering questions or advice that you find on Google. Or articles. But if your husband's willing, I know that's a real struggle for a lot of men, and a lot of women out there. They don't want to admit there's something wrong, and that idea of just going and talking to someone, not just even a pastoral counselor. If you got a pastor that you can talk to, 9 times out of 10 they're going to be a safe place to go and just share what's going on and sit down. And if you've got a couple that you friends with that you can sit down and just share with, someone that you respect their marriage,
absolutely.
Or if there's a professional marriage counselor, I highly recommend professional Christian counselors that can understand spiritual principles, not just our psychology, but a counselor that can sit down and help you dig out, because sometimes we have blind spots and we can't really dig out what's at the root of this. And so I would just encourage you, sow that seed to your spouse. Would you be willing to go and talk to somebody, and then maybe take that step? But hopefully this has helped, and These are really, really tough questions
Yeah.
that have so many things that are beneath the surface that really you can't see and you can't just interpret. So, again, if we didn't hit this the way that it needed to be hit, just shoot us a private message.
Yeah, reword it, and
reword
send
it,
back.
clarify,
Absolutely.
and we'll come back to it and
So
we'll continue
angles.
the conversation. But again, we're grateful. We're prayerful for you, your marriage, that God would strengthen it, that God would strengthen that love between you and your husband,
Yeah.
husbands between you and your wives, and that you would have a really great relationship, a great friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And we're rooting you on to have some great sex in your marriage. So, yeah. All right. That's it for today. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.